What do you do when a 5-star review online doesn't match what's really happening in your hotel lobby? That question had been stuck in Jordan Ames' head for weeks. He'd inherited the hotel chain from his father 2 years ago, 10 boutique hotels spread across the country, all known for their charm, high-end service, and warm staff. At least, that's what the brochures said. But lately, the emails had shifted. A few quiet complaints. A family who said their front desk check-in was cold and dismissive. A couple that claimed the manager was too busy to help, and a housekeeper confided through an anonymous form that some of us are treated like machines. Jordan hated second-hand information. That's what his father always warned him about: the higher you climb, the less truth you hear. So, he decided to go to the source. He picked the Midtown Atlanta location, one of the top earners. He'd never met the staff there personally. The hotel had opened right before his father passed, and it had always been managed by a man named Brent and his assistant manager, Kyle, both of whom had been hired by the district manager, not Jordan himself. It was the perfect place to go in undercover. The plan was simple. Pose as a trainee for the week, say he was transferred from a sister location that had closed for renovations. New name, clean shave, different haircut, clear glasses. Nobody at Midtown had ever seen Jordan Ames in person. Most only saw his name on the payroll system or company-wide emails. Easy. He went by Jake, wore a second-hand blazer, and checked in at the staff entrance just before 7 in the morning. "Jake, right?" asked the woman behind the front desk. She was young, maybe mid-20s, with tired eyes and a messy bun tucked under a hotel-issued cap. "I'm Lana. I'll be showing you around today." "Hey, thanks, appreciate it," Jordan said, keeping his voice lower than usual. Lana didn't smile, but she wasn't cold either. Just tired. In the break room, she explained the schedule, the basics of the check-in system, and who to listen to. "You'll be reporting to Brent or Kyle," she said, without much enthusiasm. "Don't take it personally if they ignore you. They're like that with everybody." Jordan raised an eyebrow. "You mean, like rude?" "Depends on their mood," she said, then quickly looked away. "Just don't mess up and you'll be fine." He spent the morning shadowing her at the front desk. She was sharp, knew the system inside out, handled guests like a pro, even when someone complained about towels. But every time Brent or Kyle passed behind the desk, her body stiffened. By lunch, Jordan had already noticed a few things. The lobby staff was short-handed, only 2 people working during the rush. Housekeeping was running behind, and the manager, nowhere in sight. At around 3, Jordan was sent to help Kyle restock the mini bar carts. Kyle barely acknowledged him. "Grab that case of sodas and keep up," Kyle muttered as they moved through the storage hallway. They passed a closed door with a staff-only sign. Kyle opened it with a keycard. "In here," he said. Jordan stepped in and immediately froze. Brent was already inside, and they weren't alone. They were mid-conversation, and neither noticed Jordan walk in. "I'm telling you, Lana's too soft. She lets these housekeepers walk all over her," Brent said, leaning against the shelf, sipping from a coffee cup that definitely wasn't from the break room. Kyle laughed. "Yeah, and that new girl, what's her name, Maria? She's clueless. I swear, I could swap her out with a mop and no one would notice." Brent chuckled. "And don't even get me started on Marcus. Guy thinks being polite to guests makes him some kind of hero. I should tell him this is a hotel, not a damn therapy center." Jordan didn't move. He was still holding the soda case, standing quietly by the door. Kyle noticed him first. "Oh, Jake, you need something." Jordan forced a smile, "Just waiting on the next cart." Brent nodded, clearly not recognizing him. "Don't just stand there then, make yourself useful." Jordan nodded and stepped back out, heart pounding. It wasn't just the disrespect, it was the casual way they talked about people. Like they were burdens, not staff. He'd been worried about morale, but now he saw the root of it. He caught up with Lana at the front desk an hour later. She looked frazzled, handling a guest complaint about a late room cleaning. "Hey," Jordan said quietly, "you okay?" She nodded quickly. "Yeah, just short-staffed again." "Why don't they bring in more help?" She gave him a look, not angry, just tired. "They say payroll's too tight, but we haven't had a full housekeeping team in months." Jordan didn't say anything, but he knew that wasn't true. Payroll had been steady. If anything, they had budgeted for more hires. So either Brent was lying about the budget or pocketing the difference. The next day, Jordan arrived early. Too early for most of the staff, but not early enough to miss what he saw in the hallway to the manager's office. Maria, the housekeeper Kyle had mocked, was crouched by the vending machines, wiping tears from her eyes. Jordan approached slowly. "Hey, you okay?" She jumped, then shook her head. "Sorry, I'm fine, I got yelled at again for being too slow. I'm working 10 rooms by myself today." 10, Jordan frowned. "That's not possible." She quickly wiped her face. "It's fine, I'll manage." Jordan watched her hurry off with her cart. He clenched his jaw. This had gone far enough. He wasn't just going to be a ghost in the system anymore. He had seen enough to know that something was broken, and the people who were breaking it were sitting in the manager's office, laughing about it. Tomorrow, he'd stay late. He needed to hear more, and then he'd decide exactly how to handle it. He wasn't just going to reveal himself. He was going to fix this, for good. By the time the sun dipped low behind the midtown skyline, Jordan had already planted himself in the lounge corner of the lobby, pretending to check inventory on a tablet. The evening shift was slower, quieter. Most guests had already checked in, and the front desk had settled into a lull. A few feet away, Lana was wrapping up her shift. Her fingers moved across the keyboard with methodical speed as she logged out of the system. A man in a wrinkled dress shirt with a shiny name tag that read Marcus stepped in to relieve her. He greeted her with a warm smile and a soft pat on the shoulder, but she barely returned it. Her eyes were glassy, her shoulders heavy. As she left, Jordan stood and made his way over to Marcus. "Hey, I'm covering evenings for the week. Jake," he said, offering his hand. Marcus shook it firmly. "Marcus, welcome aboard. You'll probably be bored out of your mind tonight, but if you're lucky, someone will clog a toilet and you'll get the full experience." His tone was light, but Jordan noticed the hint of weariness beneath it. The kind that didn't come from one bad shift, but from months of pushing through without relief. "You've been here a while?" Jordan asked as they walked behind the desk. "About 17 months, started during the tail end of the pandemic. They were desperate for anyone who'd show up sober and on time. Guess I stuck." They both chuckled, but Marcus's eyes didn't match the sound. "You like it here?" Marcus hesitated. "I like the work. I like helping people. But..." He glanced toward the office hallway, where Brent's door remained closed. "Not everyone makes it easy." Jordan leaned slightly closer. "Meaning?" "You'll see," Marcus said, then pivoted. "Let me show you how we handle late check-ins." They spent the next hour going through procedures, but Jordan wasn't listening for logistics. He watched how Marcus treated guests patiently, with real attention. When a woman came down in tears because her room's AC wasn't working, Marcus didn't deflect. He walked her up himself, tested the unit, then moved her to another room without making her feel like a burden. After the guests settled, Marcus returned to the desk and sank into the chair. "She's been here 3 times this year," he said. "Her husband passed last spring. They used to stay here for their anniversary." Jordan didn't respond right away. The moment hung between them. "You remembered that?" he finally asked. Marcus gave a small nod. "That's the job, right? Remembering people." Jordan didn't answer. Not because he didn't know what to say, but because he didn't want to give himself away. Instead, he stood and offered to cover the desk while Marcus grabbed a break. He used the time to check the back office. The hallway was dim and quiet. Brent's office door was cracked open just enough for voices to slip through. Don't care how many rooms she cleaned. If she's late logging out again, dock her damn hours. That was Brent. Kyle responded flatly. Already did, she'll be short this week. Good, maybe next time she won't take a 20-minute lunch. Jordan stepped back quietly, then returned to the desk. Marcus was already there again, sipping from a paper cup. You ever think about managing? Jordan asked. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Here. Anywhere. Marcus gave a short laugh. Used to, but I've learned that promotions here don't go to the best workers. They go to whoever keeps their head down and doesn't ask for more staff. Jordan nodded slowly. What if that changed? Marcus looked at him, searching his face. Then maybe I'd give a damn again. The next morning, Jordan requested to shadow housekeeping. The supervisor, a tall man named Reggie, was hesitant at first but allowed it. Jordan spent the morning stocking carts, helping with turn-down service, and watching how the staff moved room to room without breaks, lifting mattress corners with aching backs and folding towels until their knuckles cracked. Halfway through the shift, Maria dropped a stack of linens in the hallway. She knelt to gather them, but her hand trembled as she reached for the last towel. Jordan crouched beside her. You all right? She nodded, not looking up. How many rooms today? 12, she said softly. He helped her restack the bundle. You ever get help? She shook her head. Later, in the laundry room, Reggie leaned against the industrial dryer and wiped sweat from his forehead. Jordan asked how long the staff had been short. Since spring, Reggie said without looking up, we've asked for more hires. Brent says corporate denied it. Jordan's jaw tightened. You believe that? Reggie let out a dry laugh. No, but what am I gonna do? My name's not on the building. That night, Jordan sat in the guest lounge long after his shift ended. He watched Kyle leave through the lobby entrance, laughing into his phone as he climbed into a rideshare. Brent had left hours earlier. Lana passed through on her way out. She stopped when she saw him. You're still here. Yeah, I just thinking. She hesitated, about quitting. He gave a quiet chuckle, considering it. She looked down at her shoes. If you do, you won't be the first. You ever think about leaving? She shrugged. Every day, but I need the paycheck. So I stay. Besides, I don't hate the job, just hate how invisible we are. Jordan raised an eyebrow. Invisible. Don't take this the wrong way, she said carefully, but people like Brent and Kyle, they only notice you when you mess up. They don't care who keeps this place running. Jordan stood. Maybe someone higher up does. She gave him a tired smile. I'll believe it when I see it. The next morning, Jordan didn't suit up as Jake. He walked through the staff entrance at 7 sharp, but this time in a tailored navy jacket, clean shave, and his usual glasses. He passed the service hallway, turned into the break room, and waited. One by one, the staff filtered in. Lana, Marcus, Maria, Reggie. Conversations stopped when they saw him. Marcus squinted. Wait. Brent entered last, holding a coffee and chatting with Kyle. He stopped mid-sentence when he saw Jordan standing near the vending machine. Lana's eyes widened. Is that? Brent stepped forward. Can I help you? Jordan looked him in the eye. You can start by explaining why you've been lying about staffing budgets. Brent blinked. I'm sorry, who are? My name's Jordan Ames, he said, raising his voice just enough for the room to hear. Own this hotel, and I've spent the past week working under your management. The room went silent. Maria dropped her pen. Reggie looked like he'd just seen a ghost. Kyle stepped back. Wait, what? Jordan turned to the staff. I've seen what you go through. I've heard how you've been spoken about, and I'm not going to let it continue. Brent tried to recover. If there've been issues, I'd be happy to discuss them. Jordan cut him off. You'll be discussing them with HR. Effective immediately, you're suspended pending investigation. Kyle stammered something unintelligible, but Jordan didn't even look at him. He turned to Marcus. How would you feel about running this hotel for the next 2 weeks? Marcus blinked. What? Temporary management. Full authority. I want to see how this place runs when someone decent is in charge. Marcus didn't answer right away. Lana stepped beside him. He's your guy. Jordan nodded. Then it's done. He turned back to the room. New hires start Monday. Overtime pay will be honored, and if anyone's got grievances, you can bring them directly to me. That ends today. Jordan left the room without another word. The door swung shut behind him. No one moved for a full 10 seconds. Then Maria exhaled deeply, and Lana whispered, finally. Marcus stood outside the office, arms crossed, staring at the door like it might explode. Behind it, Brent and Kyle were with HR on a video call that had started 10 minutes ago and was already late wrapping up. Jordan leaned against a nearby wall, watching the hallway traffic thin out as the morning rush gave way to the late checkouts. You sure you want me doing this? Marcus kept his voice low but steady. Already made the call, Jordan replied. You've got the respect of the staff. That's not something you can fake. Marcus shifted his weight. All right, but I'm not wearing a tie. Jordan cracked a grin, not asking you to. The office door opened. Kyle walked out first, face pale, lips pressed into a tight line. He didn't look at anyone. Brent followed, slower, his expression unreadable. He stopped in front of Jordan, opened his mouth to speak, then thought better of it. He walked out without a word. Inside, the HR rep was still on the call, now speaking with someone from corporate legal. Jordan stepped in, gave them a final confirmation, and closed the laptop. Then he handed the access keys to Marcus. Start today, you'll have full support. Reggie's stepping in to help coordinate scheduling, and payroll has been updated. Everyone gets paid for the overtime they've already worked. Marcus looked at the keys, then at the empty chair behind the desk. Guess I better figure out how this thing works. You've already been doing the hard part, Jordan said. This is just making it official. Back in the staff lounge, Lana was helping Maria fill out a request for reduced room quotas. Reggie sat nearby, going over the new shift calendar on his phone. Jordan stepped in and raised a hand. Quick update. Marcus is now acting manager. All scheduling concerns go through him, and you'll be seeing some new hires by next week. Reggie nodded. About time. Maria clutched the paper in her hands. Do we still keep track of our hours the same way? Marcus answered. No more paper logs. Everyone clocks in through the app, and if it glitches, tell me directly. Nobody's losing pay again. Lana looked up. What about supply orders? We're still short on linens. I approved a restock this morning, Jordan said. It'll be delivered Friday. Reggie leaned forward. Can we request different brands? Some of the towels we've been getting are cheap. They tear too easy. Send me a list of alternatives, Jordan said. We'll test them. As the staff resumed their tasks, Jordan pulled Marcus aside. There's one more thing, he said. This place needs a team lead for guest experience. Someone who can bridge front desk, housekeeping, and guest services. Not just operations, someone who understands people. Marcus raised an eyebrow. You offering it to me? Actually, I was thinking about Lana. Marcus nodded slowly. She's earned it, but she's not going to ask for it. Then I'll ask her. They found her in the elevator bay, restocking brochures. "Got a minute?" Jordan asked. She turned expectant. "I want to create a new role," he said. "Someone to identify friction points between departments. Someone who knows how the place really works." She narrowed her eyes. "Is this a performance review in disguise?" "It's a promotion," he said. "You'd report directly to Marcus. Extra pay, flexible schedule. You'd still be on the floor, but with more authority." She didn't answer right away. "I'm not used to being asked," she said finally. "You're being asked now." She nodded once. "All right, I'll try it." That afternoon, Jordan walked the halls with Reggie, inspecting the back corridors. They passed the old supply closet that had been used for staff breaks when the lounge was too loud. "You ever use this for storage?" Jordan asked. "Used to," Reggie said, "but Brent had it locked, said it wasn't authorized." Jordan keyed it open. Inside were 3 unopened vacuum units, 2 brand new carts, and a box of microfiber cloths. Reggie stepped in behind him. "Are you serious? We've been short on vacuums for months." Jordan crouched down and peeled off the manufacturer sticker. They'd been delivered 6 months ago. He stood and looked around. "Inventory audits are coming back." Reggie crossed his arms. "You think Brent was hiding supplies?" "I think he was controlling them. Easier to blame staff when things fall behind." Jordan sent a photo of the closet to the procurement team, then closed the door. Later, in the guest lounge, he sat with Maria during her break. She was eating a sandwich, staring at her phone screen. "How's today been?" he asked. "Still busy," she said, "but better. They moved me to 8 rooms." "That's more manageable." She nodded. "Actually finished too early." He leaned back. "You think you'll stay?" She looked at him for a long moment. "You really own this place?" "Every square foot." "Then yeah," she said, "I'll stay a while." That evening, Jordan watched Marcus handle a complaint from a guest who had been double charged during booking. Instead of pushing it to accounting, Marcus called the bank directly and resolved it in less than 10 minutes. As the guest walked away satisfied, Marcus glanced at Jordan. "You always watching people like this?" "Only when I'm learning something." Marcus chuckled. "What happens when Brent calls you, trying to get back in?" "He won't." "And if he does?" Jordan shrugged. "Then I'll remind him what happens when you treat people like they don't matter." Marcus nodded. "Fair enough." The next morning, Jordan returned with a city inspector. They walked the freight elevator shaft, which had been overdue for certification. Brent had signed off on a false report 2 months prior. Jordan handed over a printed copy of the falsified document. The inspector scanned it, then looked up. "You cleaning house?" "Already started." By noon, Jordan had signed off on a new contractor for HVAC maintenance, a local company that employed union technicians and had solid reviews. Lana coordinated the site visit. "Front desk just got called from a guest in 217, she said, checking her notes. "Said the heat's stuck on." "Let's give them a portable unit for now," Jordan said, "and comp one night." She raised an eyebrow. "You trust me with comp authority?" "I trust you to use it better than Brent did." That night, Jordan stood in the now quiet kitchen with Reggie, watching the dishwasher cycle finish. "You ever think about managing a department?" Jordan asked. Reggie gave him a sidelong glance. "You offering?" "I'm asking." Reggie nodded once. "Then yeah, I'd think about it." Jordan stepped outside just after midnight. The air was cool, the street mostly empty. Through the glass doors, the lobby glowed softly. Marcus was behind the desk, scrolling through a checklist. Maria passed by pushing a cart, humming under her breath. Lana was talking with a guest near the elevator, pointing out a nearby breakfast spot. Jordan stood still for a long time, watching. Then he turned and walked toward the car waiting at the curb. He'd seen what he came to see, and this time, the picture was finally changing. The following week moved fast. Jordan returned to headquarters, this time not to delegate, but to implement. He'd always believed that leadership couldn't be done from a distance, not if you wanted truth, and certainly not if you wanted trust. What he'd seen at Midtown couldn't be fixed with memos or policy updates. It needed systemic change, and he was finally ready to push it through. The first step was simple: strip away the layers between field teams and corporate. He scrapped the old reporting structure that funneled everything through regional managers and instead created direct feedback channels for each hotel. Every property would now nominate 2 employees, a frontline worker, and a department lead to meet biweekly with a member of the executive team. Not HR, not middle management. Executive. He didn't announce it through a company-wide email. He showed up. The next Monday, Jordan flew to the Charleston location. He walked in unannounced, asked to speak to the front desk lead, and sat with her in the break room for 20 minutes. No cameras, no entourage, just a notepad and a question: what's not working here? By the end of the week, he'd visited 3 more properties. At each one, he found the same pattern: employees who cared deeply, but who felt like nobody above the local manager saw them. Most weren't asking for more money. They wanted functioning equipment. They wanted someone to return their emails when the ice machine broke. They wanted to know that the exhaustion they carried home each night was noticed. Back at Midtown, things were shifting. Marcus had already hired 2 new front desk associates and reinstated the morning huddles. Lana was leading daily walkthroughs with department heads, something that had never existed before. When Jordan returned unannounced on a rainy Thursday afternoon, the difference was immediate. The lobby no longer buzzed with quiet tension. The front desk team greeted guests with ease, more fluid than before. In the back office, the door was open, not locked. Lana stood beside a whiteboard covered with notes: room turnover times, maintenance requests, guest preferences, all handwritten, color-coded, and updated daily. She turned when she saw him, but didn't pause her explanation. So, if we can stagger the deep cleans across 3 days instead of 1, we won't have to pull housekeeping off active rooms mid-shift. Marcus leaned over the desk, nodding. That buys us extra headroom during high check-in windows. Makes sense. Jordan waited until they finished before stepping closer. Looks like I could learn something here, he said. Lana crossed her arms. You should have come yesterday. We had a pipe burst in 312, and I found out how many towels it takes to keep a flood out of the hallway. Marcus added, 16, the answer's 16. Jordan smiled, glad to know the data collection is thorough. They walked the property together. The hallways smelled freshly cleaned. The vending machines were finally restocked. The elevator passed certification, and the new HVAC contractor had replaced 2 faulty units. Jordan didn't need to ask, he could see the impact in how people moved. No one was rushing to avoid being seen. No one looked over their shoulder when they spoke. In the kitchen, Reggie was scribbling schedules onto a clipboard. He looked up when they entered. You're back. Jordan nodded, just checking in. Reggie set the clipboard down. We filled the last housekeeping slot Tuesday morning. First time we've been fully staffed since last winter. Training going all right. She's green but motivated. And she doesn't flinch when the dryers kick on, which is more than I can say for 2 of our last hires. Jordan turned to Marcus. You ready to make this permanent? Marcus didn't answer right away. He glanced around the storage room, the new vacuums finally in use, the carts aligned and clean, and the bulletin board updated with real-time notes. Then he looked at Jordan. I don't want to be a figurehead, he said. If I'm taking this role, I want to keep working the desk at least twice a week. I don't want to manage from behind a door. Then don't, Jordan said. Make the role fit what you need it to be. Lana leaned against the frame of the door. You're not going to give us a corporate handbook now, are you? No handbook, Jordan said, just expectations. She raised an eyebrow. Which are? Treat people like they matter. And if you forget how, step back into their shoes until you remember. Later that evening, Jordan sat in one of the guest lounge chairs, watching the gentle movement of people checking in. A couple with 2 kids approached the desk. Marcus knelt to hand one of the children a small plush from the welcome basket, something Lana had added that week. The child lit up. The parents, visibly tired from a day of travel, softened. It wasn't about amenities, it was about attention. Jordan stood and walked toward the back exit. As he passed the service hallway, he spotted Maria finishing her shift, folding the last of the laundry into neat stacks. She didn't notice him until he paused by the door. You heading out? He asked. She nodded. Just finished. No overtime today. She smiled, something he hadn't seen the week before. Anything you need. She considered the question. Just more days like this. Jordan nodded. That's the goal. As he stepped out into the cooling night, the rain had stopped. The sidewalks were damp, the streetlights reflecting off the pavement in long, steady lines. He made his way to the car, not in a rush. Back in his office the next morning, he called a full executive meeting. Not via video. In person. Every regional director, every operations lead, every department head. He didn't open with a slideshow or a quarterly projection. He opened with a story. He told them about Lana, about Maria, about a closet full of hidden supplies, about a manager who'd learned how to do more with less, not by cutting corners, but by listening. He told them what it had felt like to be ignored when he was just Jake, and how often that happens to people without a title. Then he gave them a mandate. Every executive was required to spend 2 weeks a year embedded at a property, not as a guest, not as a supervisor, but as a worker. No exceptions. He didn't wait for a vote. He closed the meeting with a single line. If you're too important to serve, you're too detached to lead. By the end of the quarter, 2 more managers had been quietly let go, one for falsifying maintenance records, the other for retaliating against a whistleblower. But more importantly, dozens of staff across the chain had been promoted, not for loyalty, but for initiative. People who had ideas were now being asked for them. People who had been invisible were now being seen. Back at Midtown, Lana had implemented a new ritual. Every Friday, just before the evening rush, the team gathered in the break room. Not for announcements, just a meal. Staff took turns bringing something, and if someone couldn't, no one said a word. They just made room at the table. Jordan didn't attend everyone. But when he did, he always arrived early, helped set out plates, and stayed long enough to hear what people cared about that week. No speeches, no reminders of who he was. They already knew. And that, finally, was enough.